And in 1995, I was in a psychiatric institution with major anxiety disorder, panic disorder, PTSD, and depression. So welcome to the conference. I'm so happy you're here.
And so I don't mean to be flip, I really don't, but it's my story and I'm not ashamed, I'm not embarrassed. It's why I'm here with you today.
I am Tammy West, and that is my story. Welcome to Consider Yourself Hugged, a place to find comfort and support as you navigate your mental and emotional well-being. So sit back and relax, unless you're driving, and get ready for this week's hug. And hey, like, people who aren't watching won't know this, but we kind of match.
We do match.
You didn't notice, did you?
I did notice, yes.
You did?
Because as I was walking up here, I was thinking, did I wear this shirt last week for this? I think I may have. It's a
No.
very common, like, weekend shirt for me, where
It's a weekend shirt.
Yes, it's a weekend shirt. It's very comfortable. It's very soft. You know how much I like soft,
I
comfortable
do.
things.
I
Yeah.
do. And when you said that, I wanted to sing Soft Kitty. Soft. You don't know Soft Kitty, do you?
No, I don't.
I cannot believe we're as good as friends as we are, and you don't know Soft Kitty. It's a Big Bang Theory. It's the song that Sheldon sings and gets sang to him when he's sick. So, and I'm not going to sing it, but hey, I'm going to make a note. I'll put it in the show notes. We'll put Soft Kitty in the show notes. How about that?
I would love to hear
You'd love to see it. Okay. And hear it. And the other thing so Michelle and I both had interesting weekends. So I turned 60, I'll say yesterday. We're recording this on Sunday. So on September 14th. And the reason that my shirt is this color is because my friend Beth got me, several things. I don't have the shirt, but she got me a shirt that's black with the colors we have on right now. Michelle and I are sort of a mauve, fuchsia, pinkish purple. And so Beth got me a black shirt with that color lettering that says 60licious. And then she got me this bracelet that kind of matches. And it comes with a little card that talks about being 60. And a couple years ago, she got me this color bracelet.
Oh, that's pretty.
I know. And this matches too. So I wore all that to church today so that I would have all of my ancillary 60 stuff. So yeah, I turned 60. Woo! Still living. And you had a fun weekend too, didn't you?
I did. I went with my sister and niece to TPAC. They were doing Clue, and it was 90 minutes of just fun and laughter. And if you love the movie, then you would definitely love the show.
Is that like traveling like all around the country? I didn't even know until you said it that it was a thing.
It is. It's traveling all around the country. My sister said she thinks it's an off-Broadway show instead of like an on-Broadway show, but still so good. And the way they did the sets were amazing. Have you ever seen the movie?
No, I don't know that I knew there was. I guess I knew there was a movie. No, I haven't.
Yeah, but if you watch the movie, if you're a fan, then you would definitely love the show. And we dressed up, which isn't something we have done a ton. But yes, oh yeah, I dressed up. I'll have to send you the picture. Maybe I'll put the picture in the show notes.
I'm making a
note. I dressed up as Mrs. Peacock. So I had like a peacock feather in my hair and some Mrs. Peacock glasses, and then a dress like I was going to a dinner party, because that's what the movie is, where they're all called to this dinner party and this mystery like plays out. But yeah.
I'm so excited to see that picture's going in the show notes. So,
and my niece was Mrs. White, and my sister was going to dress up as Miss Scarlet, but there was a last minute concern costume wise, so she wore a black dress like Mrs. White too. So
okay, now I want to go, or at least watch the movie.
It was fun. It was so much fun.
Were other people? I mean, were there a lot of people dressed up? I'm assuming.
Not a lot. There were some, but I mean, it's just fun, when you're dressed up. And
yes, we went to a ball game with one of the grandkids yesterday, and another set of grandparents were there, and they were going to some kind of fundraiser. and you had to it was dress up for the decade in which you were born. So I'm waiting to see their pictures as well.
Mhm.
And isn't this like a perfect transition into our whole thing on positive psychology? Like,
Yes. Yes, it
because
is.
you have had this happiness plan, and we've both talked about incorporating more fun in our lives, and you did it.
Yeah, the fun and lightness, we'll get to that one in just a bit. But yes, trying to incorporate more things. I mean, I'm only supposed to speak for myself. I know I'm very like
And well, we're like one
purpose.
person, so
Yes, yes, we're so similar that it's so easy for me to say we, but
we
um like and I know that's very important, purpose and so forth, but fun is important too. And so just being able to be silly and dress up and not care and be foolish, that was fun.
I can't think of the last time. Okay, well, I am having a memory right now, but if that's the last, I was gonna say the last time that I've dressed up, like, for something like that, and the last time I remember was something we did at our my friend Beth, who got me all this stuff. You know Beth. We had Beth on the podcast, and I'm saying that
Yes.
to other people, not to you. I'm just saying, of course, you know Beth, but she loves doing like games and themes, and it was something she had at her house. So it had to have been 2 or 3 years ago. And then prior to that, it had probably been ages. So maybe I'll dress up for Halloween.
That could be really fun.
Okay.
So I've had two different things for the bridal shower, not shower, for the bridal bachelorette party that I went to. It was an 80s themed.
You did
So
a
I
lot
dressed
of,
up for the 80s theme for that and then for this. So yeah, it's fun. It's just fun.
and I have yet to see pictures of that or the dance. So I'm waiting for that. I mean, I saw the one
Okay.
that you sent me just of, Michelle was in a wedding last week, but the one you sent me of just y'all standing, but I don't think you sent any dress up pictures.
Okay. I will send them.
Okay. And I'll even post the picture. Okay, I'm going to post a picture of me dressing up too, so we can show you that we do have fun every couple
Yes.
years.
Every few
Oh,
years. Yes, yeah.
years. We're going to try to do
It's
that.
like I mean, try not to like think, oh, this is sad. I have to intentionally put fun, light things
I know.
in, but well, I do. So
I know. Well, and part of that, okay, so well, let's do this because this is what we've been doing every week is revisiting the week before and then catching up or starting the new week. But it really I put 3 things down. Let me see, what did I wrote? Um, I wanted to so last week in module 4, we talked about, like Michelle said, goals and, like, meaning. And I know for the 2 of us, it's not that we moan and whine and feel neglected about not putting fun in our life. We just we're really passionate about what we do, and it gives us a lot of meaning. And so we just forget. It's sort of that flow thing, right? That when you're in the flow and you
yeah, I think that like for me, like contentness can sometimes be a little bit of a deterrent to the I'm gonna like be
Mhm.
silly, dress up, have fun, laugh a lot because like I enjoy what I do. And so like I'm content. And so it's been really interesting with this module looking at different terms
Yes.
and like looking at the different meanings between them. Happiness, purpose, joy, fun. Like looking at the different terms and kind of seeing where um those things fit into everyday life. And so I'd say I'm very content. But like as far as like intentionally infusing fun things, lighthearted things, that
Yeah.
was way in the beginning of this, something I realized, okay, I need to be more intentional.
Well, and you said it really well, infusing it into daily life. And
Mhm.
especially, I mean, if you're listening or watching and you don't, Michelle co-hosts with me sometimes, and then sometimes we just come together like as guest hosts. But Michelle is a psychiatric nurse practitioner. So what she does every day is very intense. And even though she loves it, I think especially for her, it's important to remember to have those moments of levity. And we know that I think this is a really good point. Our time, I'll put a link to an article about laughter, because since we're talking about positive emotions today, or we're going to in a minute, we're actually going to recap first, but I'll put a link to an article about like the scientific part of laughter, like the real, because positive psychology is a research-based field, and there is research that shows how laughter grows you and makes you healthier. And so interjecting
Absolutely.
stuff is really important.
Mhm.
Okay, but so back to then, so I think for us and for maybe you and a lot of people, we live a lot of our life through, if you have a career that you're really passionate about, or even you're passionate about being a parent or a caretaker or whatever it is that you do, we talked about finding your value. So the three things, I just revisit, because we told them last time, Michelle, that we were going to not spend a lot of time talking about the activities. We were just going to explain them and go into them this time. And so I did three things just to revisit the values assessment, to revisit the SMART goal, and to revisit the wish list. Is that what you had? Basically?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
And the only thing I wanted to say about, so I did the values assessment. There's no point going through all of it. I just wanted to throw a couple of things out. You all might remember, and again, go back, and listen. The sessions do build on each other quite a bit. So we'll post links to the prior sessions, although I keep thinking that I'm saying that, and I think I keep forgetting to do it. It's been a very busy week. So we'll put links to the former sessions. But the only thing that I found interesting on my values assessment, just a couple of examples, like for me, family, the importance was a 10. And then what do I do in my life? And the alignment. So the first thing you were to do is score it 1 to 10 of importance, and then 1 to 10 as to how aligned you think your life is with you saying that it was a 10. I put an 8. I mean, I don't think it could be a lot better. And then what do I do in my life that shows that I do value this? And I put, because it says outside of family. Okay. Family outside of your immediate family. Immediate family and children are separate. And so, but I put, what do I do in my life that shows that I value this? And I put that like this weekend, we went to soccer games and football games for the grandkids. And then for healthy lifestyle, I put it was a 7, and that my alignment was probably at about a 7. And what do I do in my life that shows that I value this? I do walk and get on the bike, but the things I think I need to work on are eating a little bit more healthy. So my alignment score from what I said I valued to my alignment was 85. So that was supposedly pretty good. The higher your alignment score, the more you're living your values. What did you discover on that?
So I discovered, similar to you, that there was a little discrepancy in the things that I valued versus like my representation of that.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, very similar to you, like with the healthy lifestyle, like how important it is to me. I'll just start with that one, was a 9, whereas in reality, it's probably more like a 7. I've talked before many times about my family health history. And so there's a lot of incentive for me to try to do things as much as I can to stay healthy. And similar to you, like there's it's really more like the eating choices sometimes. What I've also found is that sugar brings me joy.
Because
So
chocolate is so good. No.
no, it's a little bit of a contradiction there. So everything in moderation, everything in moderation. And
Oh,
so like
boring moderation. I'm sorry, go ahead.
being intentional, like you said, was spending time with family. This weekend I spent time with my sister and my niece. We always
Yes.
laugh and have fun, and making time for like the the things to be like the self-care things that regenerate me, give me energy. Those things I need to make a little bit more time for that. And one other thing, like it's been a goal, which I've talked about with you before. It has been a goal, like for me to write and finish my book. And so I just kind of realized, okay, I'm gonna have to put some intentional time to that. I'm gonna have to like carve away some blocks of time to
You
do
are.
that because it is important. I want something that I want to finish. So
Did you write a SMART goal for that?
no, I have not
Let's
written
do
some
it
stuff.
together.
I should. Okay.
Let's do it together. Let's do it. So wait, was there anything else about values? Or was that good for you for
Those were the things that were the most that were the biggest realizations. I had a lot of things that were pretty consistent in terms of
I did
this is
too.
yeah.
I did too.
I mean, purpose, passion, work. I mean, all of those things um were things that were on there. Okay, so we're gonna
All right.
write a
Well, then
SMART goal.
I'm not even going to share my SMART goal. Just basically is to get the Stress Club online course created. Um. Anyway, by November 1st, I'll just share that with you all. By November 1st, I want to have that done. But let's work with Michelle. So, what is your goal to
Finish my book.
okay to write your book? And so, how will you measure your progress?
I need to set some deadlines and then schedule some times to be able to work on that.
Oh, that's good. Okay. So let's just do these together. So I put create online stress club course. How will I measure it? I'm setting goals, and I will know I'm done when it's uploaded and on my store. So I'm assuming you'll know you've achieved it when it's in your hand, right? When you get
Yes,
that.
yeah.
And then is it realistic and attainable with the resources and time I have? I said yes.
Mine is too, yes.
Okay. Does it matter to you? And how does it align with your values and purpose? I'm assuming it matters.
It does, and it definitely aligns with my purpose. It's about recovery from trauma, living a
Yeah.
beautiful life.
So if I look over like at the values table, it probably lines up with work, with education, even with probably with spirituality. I mean, I'm sure part of that is your healing. So, all
Yeah,
right.
absolutely.
And the deadline, I put November 1st. And I will tell you, I've had that goal for a while and I'm struggling a lot, but I'm not beating myself up because when I took this job, it's taking more of my time than I thought because I'm writing curriculum and I'm loving it. But then there are several other things. I was going to record like the recording part in September, but I'm grateful. We had this surprise party and then my son came home and we've got friends who have a child who's battling cancer right now. He's been in intensive care. So I only share that with you to say my goal is November 1st, but if I have to alter that, that's okay. In my mind, as long as I'm not just putting it off because I don't know, just because I'm putting it off, but when there are reasons, there are reasons.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
gonna say for me, December 31st.
Ooh, that's soon. All right.
Mhm.
All right. Everybody hear that? See that out in podcast land? I'm
December
excited for you.
31st. And I have you know, done research and there's a lot of different opinions on best way, but like as far as like writing and not doing a rough draft and not rewriting as you go. So December 31st is my plan to have the first draft. And then
Okay.
I'm sure there'll be where I go back and refine some things. And just but December 31st is to get all of the ideas down on paper.
All right. Oh, that's so doable. You can do it.
I think so.
I'll be checking with you.
Yeah. I've got some blocks of time within that time frame, but I'll definitely be able to work on it. And I enjoy working on it. So it's not that I don't, it's just a matter of, you know,
allotting
Be
it.
intentional about the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, you fellow huggers out there, what is your goal? Michelle and I told you we were going to put a couple of things in the Facebook group, and we didn't, but we will because we're talking about it now. So we will. All right. And we would love to hear about your values and your goal and your SMART goal. Now the wish list. Do you want to take this in the beginning? Do you want me to?
So I did the wish list a little bit different than it asked or described, and I can explain why.
Oh, no, I love that. Yeah. Tell us.
So I did my wish list, and I'm happy to share. Um, as far as the like how much, like I was completely fine to like rate that because it asks you to rate them like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The feasibility part is different for me because um I've talked about this before on the podcast as well, but this completely 100% came from my mother, and it's been such a gift. Like my mother somehow, with both my sister and I, infused this belief that anything is feasible.
Oh,
And I don't know how she did it. I'm not somebody, and you've known me a long time. I'm not somebody that like oozes with self-confidence or just knows, but like she just somehow like instilled that, if it's something you're passionate about, it's something that's important to you, you absolutely can achieve
I,
it. And yeah, yeah. And like I said, I wish I knew how she did it. I would write about that. But so I didn't rank in terms of like, how likely am I to achieve it, because she just gave me that as a gift of, can I achieve these things if I choose to? Yeah. And so like, that I'd put them all as one. And again,
okay.
100% a gift from her.
Which what I'm going to do. Okay. If you're watching, you can see it. If you're listening, this line that says how achievable. Oh, this is from a different set of notes. Anyway, just so y'all see my pen. Boom. I'm scratching that out. I love that. I mean, I get what it's asking, like given your current circumstances, which ones are most likely to be the most like first, maybe that you would work on, but I love that.
Well, and I get that like with different there's different philosophies that say that like, okay, so you have this number and it makes it look more achievable on paper, and you start with that and it gives you momentum
Yeah,
because you're achieving your goals and so forth. So I can definitely see how sometimes that works really well for people. That's just not how I process things.
I get it. Well, yeah. And that is a gift from your mom, something you'll always
Yeah.
carry with you.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's like I said, I know it's 100% from her. I don't know exactly. I can't tell you how she did it, but she did it for both my sister and I.
That's beautiful. If you didn't watch last time, actually, I'm assuming everyone, as soon as I said you need to go watch, you left. But let's say not, and you're listening. At least we'll tell you the wish list is basically like the bucket list. Like before I die, what are some things that I want to do? And then there's a way that you go through it. And like Michelle talked about, she changed it a little bit. But tell us which top ones you came up with.
So just to name a few, of course, the book is on there to finish the book.
Nice.
I want to accomplish some financial goals in order to do some things. Like I've always wanted to start a scholarship for like single moms. And then what other things do I want to share? And I put a wide variety. I put obviously some big goals, but I also put some things like I want to start like a board game night with friends because I love board games. It would be so much
Can I
fun.
come?
Yes, absolutely. And then I even put like on here like learn to make healthier snacks to support my fitness, like to follow up from the other thing we did, to where I can still snack, but it is healthier snacks.
Okay.
And then
Okay, now you've excited me. I'm gonna share a few of mine, even if they aren't in the top 5, but go ahead.
just continue to work on like spaces, because I told you before, like creating spaces like can definitely create a
Lift your
feeling.
mood. Mhm.
Yeah. So create more of those spaces that are really mood uplifting. So those are the ones I'll share.
By the way, did you see I posted in the notes, Tim hung up a picture, like a picture he took at Laguna Beach?
No, it's hanging up. I'll look so I can see it.
No, oh yeah, yeah. So and we talked about last time that I was going to try to have it done. Like you have some of your stuff done, and then when we lived near Laguna, he took this beautiful big wave picture, and so he hung it up for me. I'm looking at it now.
Does
So,
it
and you
lift your
inspired
mood?
me. Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
it does lift my mood. You're right, and I've still been like I talked about. I don't know if I talked about this last time or if I think I did, where I'm walking in the neighborhood and there's that spot where the sun comes through. Yeah. So I've been
Yes. Yeah.
purposely taking that route. Now, sometimes if it's cloudy, the sun, isn't really shining, but it's still great. So, all right, I will tell you, some of these will be in my top five and some not. We're going to try to go to Italy. I think I told you that. And that'll probably not, we were going to do it in 2025, but it turns out that's the year of Jubilee, which happens every 25 years. So they're going to be like 35 million extra people in Rome. So we're not going next year. I don't know if you know this about me, but I want to foster old dogs. We've talked about that when I like retire or stop working. I love old dogs. Um, I want to do a
Awesome.
regular girls trip at some point.
Oh, can I
Um,
come?
yes, well, of course. I want to go on a mission trip and I want to start a nonprofit for underserved women. You and I have been talking a little bit over the years about
Mm-hmm.
nonprofit. Maybe that's time for us to revisit this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So anyway, there's more, but those are the ones that you inspired me to share. Okay. So what do you think? Are we caught up with you not believe the stack of papers that I have now because normally I try not to print stuff out, but we're doing all this stuff. So I've printed a bunch of things out.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the wrap up from
I think it is.
last week. Last week had a lot of really good exercises, activities, a lot of things to think about. This week's was it was shorter, but
Yeah.
still a lot of good information.
Yeah, I think so. Cause you all, like I said, I'm assuming that you left and came back if you haven't listened to the other ones, but we're in this field of positive psychology and a lot of it is based on this PERMA model. So it's positive emotions, um, engagement, positive relationships, meaning, and accomplishments, right? Did I get them
Yes.
right? So last week focused on meaning and accomplishments. This week is focused on positive emotions. And a lot of this, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but a lot of it was a little bit repetitive, I think, from what we started in the first module. I mean, did you feel that way?
A little bit, but adding some stuff on.
Yeah. Um, so I wanted to read just a couple of things. So the research, because we keep coming back to the research from positive psychology, shows that cultivating emotions like joy, gratitude, serenity, and love, it doesn't just make you feel good in the moment, but it can actually help you build a healthier and more resilient mind and body over time. It's like sunshine for your brain. I liked that just
I
because of
like
that.
that. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. But so they cited a study. Oh, and by the way, that study that we cited last time, I have not been able to find the exact source of that. So I'll keep looking. This one I have read before. It was in the 1930s, and there was a group of Catholic nuns, and they wrote these personal essays about their lives. And then the essays were analyzed by these psychologists in the 90s. And they were particularly interested in the emotional content of the essays, like how much positivity was reflected in their writings. And they found that the nuns who expressed more positive emotions lived up to 10 years longer than those who didn't. And there apparently have been a lot of other studies that showed that. Now, you and I both know we're scientists. There's a lot of things that goes into that longevity,
Right. Right.
but it can't hurt,
Yeah.
right? I mean, positive
Well, yeah.
emotions release healthier hormones, and they influence our breathing, our heart rate, our blood pressure. And so it's got to be a good thing. So what we're focusing on today are the 10 research-based, these tend to be the most powerful positive emotions. Do you want to start talking about them, or you want me to jump in and list them? What do you want to do?
Just go ahead and list them, and then maybe we can talk about
Just
the
do them one
ones
at a
that
time.
really spoke to us or that we felt something different
Yeah, let's do that.
across.
I'll list them, and then I did print out a few things. What's the word?
Definition?
Definitions of each, and a quick example. And then I think what you said, we'll just stop on the ones that speak to us. And then the activities, I don't think I'll even really go over how to do the activities. It's journaling, it's, all the things we've done before, but still the activity sheet will be there. So the top 10 are joy, gratitude, serenity, curiosity, hope, pride, fun, like we've been talking about, inspiration, admiration, and love. So I separately went and just pulled up a few things about each. So I'll give, because you had a really good point when you said that one of the things that's been great for you during this study, you said it a minute ago, is about, you didn't say defining things, but you said, do you remember what you said just like 15 minutes ago? I
That's a
think it was
hard ask for me to
I
remember.
know, I know. I think it was something about what I'm saying here. It's like really breaking things down instead of just, we talked about clumping. So really putting words
to
to the
to
emotion.
really look at what I said was to really look at the individual things and to realize like there's a difference between happiness, joy, serenity,
Yes.
contentment. There's definitely a difference, and looking at those individually, like I feel like generally I'm a very content person,
Mhm.
and so with that, I think that can sometimes interfere with seeking out those other experiences, like the like fun type
Yes.
of
Yes.
things like from this weekend. And I still enjoy those things, but like does contentment sometimes make you less likely to seek out those things?
Yeah. And I don't think Michelle or either one are going to start going to comedy clubs like multiple times every week just to get our, but laughing is important.
Yes.
That's just one of them. All right. So number one is joy. And I'll post these two in the show notes just so you can look at like what they are. Joy is a high energy emotion. So it's experienced when we feel happiness and delight in a moment, and it often arises from a special or memorable experience. So some examples, you might feel joy when you're celebrating a personal achievement or when you're spending time with loved ones at a fun gathering. So, any thoughts about joy? And I'm really just going to go through them all unless either one of us wants to comment.
I think that, I mean, I like that definition there. I'll give you a heads up. There were some of the definitions as it was listed in here. Some of the, along similar lines, we haven't agreed with them on in the past. Like,
Yeah.
but
Happiness.
yes, I really like that definition of joy and like seeking out more moments to be
Mhm.
able to experience that, more moments with family.
Well, and I also with the module itself, I didn't really see a lot of definitions. I just saw examples. Did you notice that in this particular module?
Yeah, there were definitely more
Yeah.
examples.
And I thought it would be nice to just, and you just said it too. It's typically joy is like a moment. And when we went, for example, we went to the kids' soccer games this past weekend, and one of them, he scored a goal, and that was joy. Like it was just such a feeling of delight in the moment that he was able to do that.
Yes.
Number two is gratitude, which is a feeling of thankfulness and appreciation for something or someone in your life. So maybe, what I like about these examples that I found, well, they're very simple. I mean, yes, we'll be grateful for the big things, but it's even a friend brought you coffee, or then on a deeper level, they helped you during a difficult time. So it can be simple things and it can be really complex things. When's the last time you felt, this sounded mean, Michelle, when's the last time you felt gratitude?
So I feel like that is one of the areas that is not a struggle. I feel like every day, and I think that I've mentioned this previously, that do you remember me talking about back in 2020 when the world was kind of shut down and we couldn't go anywhere or do anything, and it was difficult, kind of right in the middle of it. For book club, I was reading The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna.
You know, that's my favorite book.
Yes, yes. And so I was reading it. And so when you're reading about, like, they were starving, they really, really difficult times. I know many of you have probably read The Nightingale and some of you not, but it was a moment where I was like, you know what, this is kind of scary and it's unusual, but it's not this. And so I'm going to be grateful for, like,
Yeah.
all of the things and how my life is compared to this. And that's a personal choice. I would never be like, well, you should be grateful for this and don't feel that emotion. But for me, it helped me, you know, feel grateful for the positives rather than looking at all the things in the world that at that moment I had lost.
Yeah.
And so I think that for me, gratitude is definitely part of contentment and part of happiness.
Wasn't
So,
when I going back to module, I think it was 2 when we did the strengths profile, wasn't gratitude on your top? Like
yeah,
gratitude was number 9 for me, but I think it was higher for you.
I don't remember the number, and I should have it here in front of me. I don't know
That's
why
a
I don't, but
that's okay, but it
but
was
yeah, it was high, and like I just, and again, like, life experiences have a way to play in it as well. But like on a daily basis, I'm like grateful for hot water, and
oh, we've talked about that. Yes.
yeah, yeah. And so, like, for me, that's not necessarily something that's a
It's a
struggle
struggle.
like some of the other ones. Yeah.
So you don't have to think about how can I incorporate more gratitude because it's there. And so then
Yeah.
you know that that's helping you with your overall health because that's
Hmm.
one of the things. When I guess a couple things about that. One of the things, so you just talked about how you were comparing, right? That you had things to be grateful for that other people didn't, and how you would never say that to someone else. So I think that's a really important thing when we like my friends who have the son who is battling cancer right now. If someone were to say to them, and that phrase "at least" is the worst thing that we could say.
Oh,
Well, at
absolutely.
least. So they are saying to themselves, they are extremely like God following, Jesus loving, stand on scripture people, which I don't know how you would get through that if you weren't, but they really do. And they are so grateful for the small steps when they happen. They're so, so grateful. And because what is my point here? I guess I'm just saying, I think we all innately know that just because your suffering is not as deep as someone else's suffering doesn't mean that your suffering is not important. But through
Well,
that suffering, looking for, it's going to be the most helpful for you to grab on to those moments. Like Michelle said, hot water and the sun on your face, and that someone brought you coffee, or that you have coffee, or the more you can practice that, the more it can lift you up.
and like, gratitude is personal. Like, I think that, like, it doesn't work the same when you tell someone else what they should be grateful for.
Right. That's
Like, I
kind
think
of
right, like you're saying, like, it produces happiness when you find those things within yourself, but like trying to tell someone else, I mean,
yeah, that doesn't
that's
work.
mm-mm, no.
Okay, gratitude. Number 3 is serenity. Serenity is a peaceful and calm emotion, often felt when things are going well and you are relaxed and content. Um, See, and you're right when you said we don't use this word a lot. Sometimes we just say calm or whatever, but it could be feeling serenity while you're sitting by the ocean or your quiet morning with that cup of coffee that maybe your friend brought you, although probably not because it would be early, but you know.
I feel like I should bring you some coffee because you mentioned that.
Well, because my birthday was yesterday and you get the free Starbucks. So I
Yes,
got
yes.
the venti pumpkin chai latte and I drank part of it yesterday and part of it today.
It's very nice. Very
It made
nice.
me very happy. But I think like in those like when I'm standing, I don't know. So it's like dividing. I don't think when I take my walk and I'm standing with the sun, maybe that is serenity. I was gonna say it was joy, but I don't think it is. I think it's serenity when I close my eyes and feel that sun on the face and hear the water dripping. I think it's serenity. It's calm, peaceful. Yep, it's serenity.
So I'm gonna like in just a second, I'm gonna read the Serenity Prayer because
Oh, that's good.
that is it's something that's very because having talked many times about being involved in Celebrate Recovery, um, it is something that is said at the end of every like large group. So like with Celebrate Recovery, there's large group, there's small group, there's step studies. Um, and so this is something that is just very ingrained in that process. And so I'll read it and then maybe we can post the long version of the Serenity Prayer in the show
Yeah.
notes.
Yes.
It's God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, taking as Jesus did this sinful world as it is, not as I would have it, trusting that you will make all things right if I surrender to your will, so that I may be reasonably happy in this life and supremely happy with you forever in the next. Amen. So,
I love
yeah,
hearing that. Oh,
and it's very calming. It's very calming. Like I have actually recited this before. I don't love to fly. I fly. It doesn't keep me from flying, but I don't love it. So I've recited this on takeoff before. It's a very calming prayer. And just the concept of serenity when things are going well, serenity when there are struggles. Just kind of knowing, okay, there are things about this I can change and there are things I can't. And I'm only going to work on what I can change.
you know what that makes me think of too is so this book that I've posted about before called Chatter and Nathan Cross, whatever his name, chatter is that place where your mind spirals, like you got a text from somebody and the next thing you know, you're going to die alone, that kind of spiral in your mind.
Uh-huh. Mhm.
And one of the things he gives these 12 tools, and if I haven't posted about it before, um, I'll post about it this time. I have so many notes now written down, but he talks about having a ritual and even having an object. And I know you do this in your office, like a stuffed animal or whatever, but the ritual, I think about my grandmother who is devoutly Catholic and she had her rosary and citing, I did the rosary when I was a child. I was raised Catholic for a time. And so saying those prayers, holding that rosary was very calming. And I can
Mhm.
imagine having the serenity prayer and just having something that you touch or
Mhm.
feel or love and creating, because we all inherit rituals, from our parents, our religion, our culture, which is what the rosary, she inherited that ritual, but you can also take your belief system and create your own. And I think that would be a beautiful ritual to create to have more serenity.
I always, when I'm in my office, regardless of the temperature, I have a soft blanket, like I have it right now. See right
Yep.
here. And so, like, I will dress to where I can use the soft blanket versus, oh, I don't need the blanket. And it's just something that's comforting, something I always do. Doesn't matter if I'm like working telehealth from home or like we're doing the podcast, whatever it is, if I'm in here,
You have your
that's
blanket.
that's happening. Yeah.
And I have my little heating pad. I'm not going to show it to you because then I would have to pull up things off my chair. But yes, something that makes you feel safe. Okay, ready for number 4?
Yes.
Number 4 is curiosity, which is a state of interest and wonder, pushing you to explore new ideas, learn, and discover. For example, you feel curious when reading a fascinating book, watching a documentary, learning a new skill, something like that. And I thought about this, like I love historical fiction. So when we're watching historical fiction, I'm looking things up. And you and I on that strengths thing, curiosity is number 5 for me. And it was high for you as well. Just that,
Yes.
that excitement over, oh, I just saw this. Let me go figure out what that means. And then going to look it up. What about you?
Oh, I think that like the listeners could go look at our like PESI profiles and the amount of things like, oh, there's a sale. It's $45. I'm going to sign up for this course. I just signed up for a food is nutrition. It's for to learn about like different foods that are helpful mental
You
health
did?
wise. Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to take this course. I've started it because it was on sale. But yeah, I mean, like that is just I
You
love
love
to
to do?
learn things. I love to learn things that I feel like are helpful.
Mhm.
I'm not necessarily someone who just learns stuff like I don't enjoy learning physics. Although there are people that love physics
Sheldon
that
loves
understand.
physics. Sheldon loves physics.
Yes, yeah, yeah. But I mean, things that I feel like I can use that could be applicable. I can't say the word.
You got it.
Um, but yeah, I'm curious about those types of things. But I mean, just things in general. I love to observe things
Mhm.
and just kind of pull all of those observations together. I feel like every phase in life has something you can learn and take from it and use it,
Right.
and then just create a whole lot of all of it.
That's right. And I don't know if everybody knows what PESI is, but we'll post a link. It's a learning portal with all kinds of mainly more like, is it more like professional type courses? I mean, I've only done the
There's a
one.
lot of professional, like I was familiar with it because I have to have 75 continuing education
Yeah.
units every 5 years. And so I take a lot of their courses for that. I did a cognitive behavioral therapy course through them, a polyvagal theory course, the nutrition is medicine class I'm doing now. But I think, I mean, they have lots of different courses, so it doesn't have to be just mental health or um, professional related. There's other courses as well.
We'll post the link. That'll be cool. Well, I'm proud of you for doing that. Okay, I'm gonna pause for a minute so I know to cut this part out. So do you know how long I don't want to go let me see. You texted me.
I
Did
think
you
we started recording around 120 or so.
120? Okay, so we're like 6 minutes out from an hour. Okay. Yeah, you're probably right. 120. So we'll zip through we should be fine. We'll zip through the rest of
Okay,
these.
I'll talk less.
No, I'll talk less.
No.
No. Okay, number 5. You ready?
Yes.
Hope. Hope is the optimistic expectation that things will improve or turn out well, even during challenging times. So, example, you experience hope when you're going through something tough, like maybe an illness or looking for a job, but you believe things will get better. And the thing I'm going to throw in is just right now with my friend's son. I mean, Michelle and I are both Christians. That's how we live our lives. And I believe that no matter what happens with their son, he will be healed on this side of life or on the other. But for now, the hope is still in his total healing and going home from the hospital. So, what about you?
So And I don't know that I want to give like a particular example, but I will say that I think hope is really one of the most important things on the list. I think that um, when someone gives up hope, when someone loses hope,
Yeah.
then that's not a good path. And that
Mm.
seems simple to say, and that sounds like hopeful. Of course it's not. But like there are some really dark things. It's like hope is really essential in pulling us,
Yeah.
I'll just speak for myself, pulling me through different things. We talked about Viktor Frankl, and we
Yes.
talked about how in his book he could tell who was about to lose their life in the concentration
Right.
camp
Right.
because he um, recognized when they gave up hope. So when he saw that hope leave them, he knew that they didn't have much longer. And so I think, like I said, I'll just say that I think hope's probably one of the most important things on the list.
Well, and I'm thinking that's the only one on the list really that talks about it being an emotion to help you through specifically through a tough time. Like the other ones don't really refer to just coming out of a hard situation. And so
Yeah.
this is important because it's the
Hope is
biggest
it's
thing.
like a life preserver.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. All right, let's do the next 5. The next one is weird for me because it is in direct contrast to one of my top strengths. Number 6 is pride. And so pride, and it doesn't mean, ooh, pride. The satisfaction and fulfillment that you feel after accomplishing something important or meaningful. So after you finish a challenging project, after you complete something big like a marathon or watching your children. But when I look, and if you all haven't done the Strengths Finder, I'll post that link again. I think it was the second module, but humility is number 3 for me. So it's not that I don't feel, after I wrote the book or when I watched our grandson make that goal or, when I see my own children accomplish things, I do feel that. It's probably just not one of the top ones for me that gives me a great deal of like lifts me up. It's not one that's super important to me.
I think for me, there have been times when it's had a negative connotation. And so I think that pride can be a very positive and it can also be a character defect. So
So maybe what you and I are doing is maybe confusing pride with prideful.
I think probably definitely so. Like there's nothing wrong with being proud of your accomplishments, being proud of choices, being proud of those things. But I think maybe prideful is the difficult thing where being prideful can definitely, I know it can get me in trouble.
Pride?
I think that like there are some things, again, kind of not sharing specifically, but things in my personal life that I didn't deal with in a timely fashion because I was prideful about the
Ah,
fact that they were even occurring. Like, and so
yeah.
I think sometimes pride keeps people from, or being prideful keeps people from asking for help when they need it.
That's so golly. So, or pride. So the positive pride is that you did something meaningful or important and you feel a satisfaction in that versus the type of pride being prideful, holding you back from asking for help, holding you back from apologizing, keeping you that kind of thing. Yes.
Letting somebody see the real
Oh,
you because you're worried about what the
yeah.
impression is going to be. Yeah.
Ugh, so good. All right. Number 7, very different from pride. Fun, which we've talked about. Fun is the enjoyment and playfulness you experience during lighthearted activities that bring joy and amusement. Playing games with friends, laughing at a joke, going on an adventure. I think we just covered fun with you and your play.
Mhm. Yes, it was so much fun. Loved it. I will send you the picture.
Send me the picture. But I'm thinking when, for me, I'm gonna have to think on this for a minute. I mean, I'll laugh at a good joke. I'll post some jokes in there. Um, yeah, I'll post. But I'm thinking, when is the last time like I've done something way lighthearted and fun and playful? I know it's there, probably with Beth, but sooner than the story that I shared. I was just talking that time about dress up. All right, you ready to get through the last three?
Yes.
Number 8 is inspiration, which is the feeling of being mentally stimulated to do or feel something, especially something creative or admirable. So you feel inspired when you hear an uplifting story of someone overcoming something, or you witness a beautiful piece of art or a sunset, and you just feel inspired to do something or feel something. So when's the last time you think you felt inspired?
I think that's kind of goes along with what I was talking about before about the beautiful spaces. I
Yes,
think that,
that's right.
I mean, I'm a huge movie person. I love reading. I think I get inspired by stories. I just was listening to a podcast yesterday about it was letters that writers had written. So like this person had researched handwritten letters of like Louisa May Alcott and other like historic writers, and they were letters they wrote to people about the writing process and advice they were giving to people. So I thought that was inspiring. So like I think I do look for things that are
Uplifting and inspiring.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And I try not to focus on the things that mood wise can shift to the negative. I'm careful about that because I haven't always been in my life. So I'm careful about, okay, is this going to be positive or negative for my mood
When you're
all the time?
okay. Okay. And I'm thinking, I do get really inspired when I hear stories of, we were watching something when you talked about Viktor Frankl, we were watching something the other day about the Holocaust, and I always feel very just inspired to take action or just continue learning about, my relatives and those kinds of things when I read those. All right, number 9, admiration. Similar to pride, maybe. No, sorry, admiration of other things. The feeling of respect and awe you experience when witnessing something grand, powerful, or praiseworthy. So I was just thinking, inspiration and admiration, it looks like the difference is inspiration is you feel empowered, like inspired to do something. Admiration is just that feeling of respect and awe. And I'm thinking those two can come together. You admire an Olympic athlete, or you see a stunning piece of architecture or a natural wonder. So, yeah, I think they can happen at the same time or they can happen separately. Yeah, we've seen so many things going out with Tim out out to the west, and I have been all inspired many times being out there with the horses and the sunsets. I mean, lots of times. How about you?
I think that like there's a lot of things and there's a lot of people and there's a lot of things that I have admiration for. I mean, people like you, um,
Oh, ditto.
well, and I mean, just like kind of being in awe of people's stories and things that they
Yeah.
like went through, overcame, and so forth. I think that back when I was really young and like really struggled with self-worth, I think it's harder to admire people when you're struggling yourself because I think it can be jealousy. Does that make sense?
Yes, it absolutely makes sense.
But now I think that like the past quite a few years now, I think that like it's something I definitely appreciate.
That is a deep piece of self-reflection right there. And yeah, and of course, I think we both admire each other a great deal. And then the last one, love, which I feel for you, a deep feeling of affection, care, and connection to someone or something, often encompassing many of the other positive emotions. So I love that it ends with this one. So it can be love or family, friends. It can be love of an activity in your life, love of a pet. So I love my husband, my children, my friends, you know, my dog. Yeah, my cat, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, your poor cat.
I do. I really do. She makes me insane, but a lot of people we love can still, doesn't mean it's all perfect, but yeah. And I was talking the other day and I was like, I talk about you all the time. I'm like, she is just, I'm so grateful that we just keep being in each other's lives. I can't imagine life without you.
For a lot of years. I mean, I'm not going to say how many years, but for quite a few years.
Yeah, like 20, I think, ish.
Mhm. Yeah, I wasn't going to say that.
I know. And I
But I
saw
mean,
that
we
the
talk
picture
about
that
our
I
birthdays
posted of
and
us.
yeah. That is true. That picture from like, I don't know, 30 years ago or
It was a long time
something.
ago. It was a long time ago, but that's all right. Maybe 20, not 30, 20,
Okay, 20 years uh, ago.
ish.
Yeah. I think this one is love. I mean, what a great thing, and what a great thing to have on the list to recognize that, you know, we need each other. We need people in those relationships, and it's bigger than disagreements. We're kind of going into a season where the country for a little bit will be in some
Oh,
more heated disagreements. I'm not even going to talk about why. Y'all know why.
everybody
But
knows.
just showing love to people you don't agree with. I mean, it does, I think
Well, geez,
that
easy to
yeah.
love the people that, you know, that it's harder to love your enemies.
Yeah, and
Sure.
again, it's hard to kind of realize that sometimes people don't know how to love themselves, and they certainly don't know how to love you, but that doesn't mean they're not worth the time it takes to grow into that.
Yeah. And, so love being one of these positive emotions. And when we look at the PERMA model, the third one is relationships. So there's an
Mhm.
entire pillar just built on this concept of relationships and love being part of it.
And I want to say, like, with these 10 concepts, like another like recovery saying they say that I've heard them say a lot is, if you don't like how you're feeling, just wait a minute. It's going to change, like the weather. And so, like, what we're talking about here, we're not talking about like, oh, you're depressed, something bad happened, just change it. We're talking about just being intentional with some things, that generally contribute to positive mood.
Yes. Yes. And I love it. So there's these 10 and we can label them and we can pay attention to which one we're feeling. And then when we're feeling it, and then trying to, like you said, just be intentional to grow that more. And this is not about, like you said, positive psychology complements classical psychology, which looks at what's wrong and how can we work on that and fix it. But the problem, remember, with that was that there was no focus ever on, well, what's good, what's positive, and how can we grow that?
Hmm.
So it's doing
Yeah,
both of those things.
absolutely.
Okay, well, when you all see your activity sheet, just so you know, there are 7 things on there. Recognizing positive emotions. And then number 2, enhancing them. Number 3 is a journal, which we've already talked about, the app, if you want to do that. Number 4 is about reframing your negative thoughts. Number 5 is creating intentions and goals for more positive emotions. Number 6 is increasing practice of gratitude. And number 7 is assessing overall how often, as you're doing these things, how often you're feeling these positive emotions. I love this so much. By the way, when we talked about learning and growing and curiosity, so after So this is a course that I bought. I mean, I think everybody knows this by now. So, and decided to do it with you through these 10 modules. And I love it so much that, as Michelle was talking about Pessy, I got an ad for another course for this company, and it was on sale for like a day, and I already bought it. So once this is over, I just kind of see this maybe as a pathway for continuing on with the podcast. Is just taking these topics and then diving deep rather than doing 1 30-minute episode on positive psychology, for example. Okay. Well, that was a lot. So I don't have anything else to say. Do you?
No, me either.
Except the normal. Give us some comments. Let us know how you're doing. We will post some of the things we've talked about. I made a note of it this time, so by the time you hear this, you will see some of those things on Facebook from both of us. And yeah, follow us on Facebook and the private women's page if that's you, and rate, review, download, share, grow. And until we're together next time,
Consider
yourself
yourself
hugged.
hugged.
Yay.